Guinness Original.
Life is too short to be drinking shitty beer.
Welcome to another edition of Bains, Bikes and Booze Reviews. I have got a can of the legendary Guinness. Now, stories I could tell about this stuff. My old man was a paddy, and my mum was a paddy as well. And she didn't drink Guinness, but my old man drank this like it was going out of fashion. And he loved it. And he said that you will never get a better pint than that. Well, I will disagree on that one, but I went through a phase. Guinness was my go-to drink. I wouldn't drink anything else for some reason. It's very hit and miss though. You can go to a pub and you can get a good pint of Guinness, and you can go to a pub and get a pretty crap pint of Guinness. But that changed when they introduced Guinness Extra Cold. I've always said that Guinness Extra Cold was introduced for two reasons. One, for the summer, because generally you find, unless you're a hardcore Guinness fan like I was, you wouldn't generally drink Guinness in the summer. It's not that sort of drink. It's quite, well, people think it's heavy. I don't think it's heavy, to be honest, but people think it's heavy. And it isn't refreshing as lager. So that was the first reason I think Guinness Extra Cold was brought in. The second reason that I think it was is because it disguises a bad pint, in my opinion. Now Guinness, the right way to serve Guinness, well, not the right way, but the traditional way that I always remember from the Irish pubs I used to go into with my old man. There was one at the top of my road in Tottenham. It's still there now. It's changed a hell of a lot. Back then, when my old man was going into it, going there at 5 o'clock, and it would just be full of navvies, road workers, builders, all Irish, all drinking Guinness. And the landlord would have, he must have had about 10 or 11 pints all lined up, half filled, and when someone had come in, he'd just pour another one in. And it was a fantastic pint of Guinness. And I know it was because I went there a while back. I went to a different pub that he was running. This is a few years ago now. He's retired now, obviously. And it was a fantastic pint of Guinness because he knew how to pour it and he knew how to store it. He was an Irish fella. He'd been in the pub game for years. He was renowned for his Guinness. Wherever he went, his locals would follow him. He was a good governor as well. Didn't take any shit. Knew my old man quite well, and my mum and all that. So it was like that. But there's been times when I've been into pubs drinking the old Guinness, the traditional Guinness, and it's been absolutely disgusting. It's like any pint. If you don't store it properly, or it's like any cask ale, if you don't store it properly, it will go off and it will taste like a bag lady's period. And I have had Guinness that's tasted really rough. When he wasn't in the pub and he was drinking at home, my old man would drink this. Now, he did drink other stuff as well. We drank Newcastle Brown. He had the odd can of Long Life every now and again, but it was always Guinness. And it was Guinness in cans. And I remember when I was a kid, I must have been about 6 or 7, and he'd go to the offie, he'd buy some lemonade for me and my sisters. He'd buy his Guinness and he'd be watching a racing, fag hanging out of his mouth, supping his Guinness and all that, and we'd come in and we'd all stand round him with our little cups of lemonade, and he'd pour some Guinness in for us, and we used to drink it and we loved it. I'm not going to do that now, but I was drinking Guinness when I was 6 years old, alright? Probably illegally. It was fucking illegal. He'd probably get done for fucking child abuse now, fucking feeding them beer and stuff like that. But that's what kids, that's what old men did in the 70s and 80s. None of this bullshit now. You'd go up your old man when you're 5 or 6, put a little bit of beer in there. My mum, she used to dip dummies into a little bit of whiskey, put a little bit of butter on them. When a kid had a bit of colic or something, she'd stick that in the gob, and right as rain. And she used to tell all the mothers to do that. I mean, fucking hell, it was different times. Maybe that's because we're not the fucking idiots that are growing up now, honestly. I sound like my old man now, fucking hell. Anyway, let's get back to the Guinness. What I do remember about the Guinness is being very fizzy. Now, I haven't touched this stuff in a long time. When I say Guinness, I mean the stuff out of cans, the original stuff out of the can. My mate drinks it, and I've noticed when he pours it, it's very fizzy. Now, he don't drink it often, but when he does, that is something I do notice, and it's got a very beige head as well. What they've put on here, it's got dark and lively on there, and I'm imagining when they say lively, they're talking about the carbonation, because that is one thing I have noticed about it. Anyway, do I need to explain about the Guinness's Brewery in Dublin? Probably not. You all know about it. You know, it's run by, well, it was founded by Arthur Guinness, an Englishman who moved over to the Republic of Ireland. Well, it wasn't the Republic of Ireland, then it was Ireland. And he decided to brew his beer over there because it was cheaper on the taxes than it was in the United Kingdom. Now, the ABV was slightly higher on this, and it got the name Stout. Stout is not a word that's used much now, but back then it was a name or an adjective for something that was strong. And that's why it was applied to this. So you had porter, which was lower in ABV, used by the London porters. You know, at lunch, they used to drink it at lunchtime, and it was low ABV, so they didn't get too mashed up and were falling all about the place. But Stout was a little higher in the ABV. It got the name Stout because of the strength of it, and it stuck. And when they say extra stout, I imagine that means stronger than normal. Normal Guinness was about 4.3%, or was it 4.8? I can't remember. 4.3. I honestly can't remember. I'm talking about the draft Guinness now. Anyway, just the last thing. My mum and dad, where they're from in Dublin, it was called the Liberties. That's the name of the place in Ireland. In Dublin, that they were born and bred. I mean, they lived on the same street, and they knew each other all their lives. And you could go around the corner. What would she have been? My auntie. Yeah, my auntie lived around the corner, right near the brewery. And I remember as a kid going there, and the smell of the malt would just hit you. And I remember my old man and my uncle saying, "Oh, isn't this great? It's lovely." I thought it was fucking disgusting. I'd probably love it now, but when you're a kid, it don't smell good. Anyway, enough about my childhood. Let's get back to the beer. Right, this is 4.2% in the can. Guinness Original, extra stout, dark and lively. I'm surprised I haven't reviewed this before. It's taken me this long to do that now. It's 500ml. You get 13.5% free in it. Don't know why. Yeah, usual caper. Do I really need to show you what the can looks like? There you go. Right, let's get it open. Right, on the nose. Malty. Yeah. Roasted toffee malt. And that's about it. Aromas are quite weak on this one. Let's get it into the ye olde glass. Now there's a load of crap being told about, you know, you have to leave it settle, pour half out and then fill it up to the top. Personally, I don't believe in it. I don't know why that was introduced. Guinness made a big thing about it in their advertising campaigns. I know that was the traditional Irish way of pouring it because the landlord in that pub used to do it. There it is in the glass. You all know what it looks like. The black stuff. You know, it's got so many nicknames. This, yeah, more caramel. Blimey, get a bit of my nose. Yeah, caramel and toffee malt. It's all about the malts and the barleys in this, and of course, roasted barley in this gives it its colour. In fact, the grain bill on this This is mostly, as it is in most beers, it's mostly base malt, pale malt, whatever you want to call it. They roast the barley in kilns, gives it this colour. And they've been doing that for donkey's years. Well, ever since the 1700s. What is it? 1759. That's the one. Right, there it is in the glass. Like an Irish cornetto. Let's get it down the hatch. What is it the paddies say? Is it slancher or something? I don't know. Something like that anyway. It's Guinness. Weak body. There's some malted flavours there. Toffee malt. It's sweeter than I remember it. I remember this stuff being really harsh and the carbonation being absolutely out of control. But they seem to have done something to the head on this, because before the bubbles were just absolutely huge and it was darker. I do remember it being darker, but they seem to have sorted that right out now. I mean, look at that. That is like a work of art in a glass, isn't it, really? Yeah, it's nice, drinkable. This comes straight out of the fridge and it is the perfect temperature, and it's not disguising a bad pint. I know that because it's coming out of a can. And yeah, it's Guinness. Blimey, I haven't done this in ages. Had a pint of Guinness, even in the pubs. You know, I went off Guinness because should I tell you this? Oh, fuck it, why not? I'll get really bad guts after Guinness, and I nearly was responsible for the murder of my missus once. I used to trap her head under the cover, do an old Dutch oven on her, and she wasn't too pleased about it. But you know, no sense of humour. Mind you, they could fucking strip wallpaper. You talk about Percy's farts, fucking hell. I remember sometimes the dog gets into bed and he's a little terrier and he sleeps sort of under the covers next to me. I remember I let one go once and he came up and he just turned around to me and went, fucking hell. I thought I was going to have a heart attack laughing. Poor bastard. Anyway, enough about my flatulence. Let's get back to this. Yeah, that is a lot smoother than I remember it. I remember the stuff out of the can and the bottle having super abrasive carbonation. That's not the case anymore, and it's very smooth, and it's very easy drinking as well. I mean, it's only 4.2, and you know, I've caned quite a few cans in my time. The draft Guinness, I've got a can of the draft Guinness. Now, I haven't drunk that in a long time either. The draft Guinness, I don't know what it was, but that used to give me a headache as soon as I drank it. And that sort of put me off, but I got myself a can to review. No, actually, I didn't get myself a can. There was a can left here. Someone left it here after a barbecue. And I thought, you know, I'll drink it. They also left a can of Red Stripe, or someone left a can of Red Stripe. That's getting reviewed as well. I haven't drunk that in years. Fuck me, that must be over 20, 25 years. Nearly 30 years I haven't drunk Red Stripe. But yeah, Guinness. I'm talking about everything but the Guinness. It's Guinness. It's lovely. You won't go wrong with it. You know, you walk into a pub, all the ale is off, or it's crap, or it's fucking Tetley's or John Smith's. Always go for the Guinness. And if it's a decent pub, well, if it's a decent pub, it wouldn't be selling fucking John Smith's Cream Flow and bullshit like that. Or was it Tetley's Cream Flow and John Smith's Extra Smooth? Honestly, avoid anything like that. Extra Smooth, Cream Flow, any bullshit like that. You know it's just going to be pumped full of absolute dog shit. Yeah. Very nice. So what's the verdict on Guinness? Well, it's Guinness. I know I keep saying it, but it's Guinness. If you're watching this channel and you've not had a pint of Guinness, I suggest you get yourself out and have a pint of Guinness. And then make your own mind up. I avoided Guinness for years. I was a lager drinker. And I remember one hot day, a mate of mine, he was a Guinness drinker. And I remember I took a sup out of his and I never looked back. I didn't drink lager for years after that. It was Guinness all the time. Ale, yeah, occasionally if they had a really good ale on, I'd go for that. But no, Guinness was just my go-to. And yeah, it's like an old friend, you know. Is it the best stout? No, it's not. It's a macro brewed stout. But it's the original. Well, it's not the original, but yeah, it's the original. It's the original stout. So all your imperial stouts, your coffee stouts, your chocolate stouts, your breakfast stouts, your pastry stouts, they're all descended from this. This is like the Pilsner Urquell of the stout world, because of course Pilsner Urquell is what spawned all the lager. What do you give a legend like this? Well, it's Guinness. Does it warrant a mark? You know, it's legendary stuff. You know, the sales figures alone in Ireland just prove it. You'll always get a decent pint in Ireland. And I told you, I've said this on a few videos before, but the best place to get a pint of Guinness is Dublin Airport, because it's flowing and it's always being changed and they just know how to brew it. And it's lovely. I've had a few pints of Guinness at Dublin Airport and they've been great. This is 10 out of 10 for me. Only reason is because it's a legend. I've drank it for years. If I gave it less than 10, then the rest of my life previous would have been a lie. So yeah, I love it. I'm gonna sip this now and contemplate my pathetic existence. End on a cheerful note, eh? Yeah, I recommend it. And as I said, if you haven't tried Guinness before, A, what the fuck have you been up to? B, get yourself down a pub now, support your local pub, get a pint of Guinness, make your own mind up. And remember, beer is working class champagne.